The players will take more confidence from winning a game like this than if you blitz a team like 3-4-0.
I'm not sure I can do another 9 league games of this, to be honest with you. If we're going to win this thing, we need our individuals to step up in the big moments.
At this point in the season with 9 games left, it's just about the result.
It's a desperation to get ahead of the action, to make it seem like you know more than
that you're the oracle.
And on top of that, it's his bias coming through.
Arsenal fans are being gaslit. Like, it's that simple, and I'm not having anything other than that. As Harry said, we just have to accept it and deal with the outside noise.
To make it out as if we're the only club that does it, and we're the only club that pushes the boundary.
Everton against Man United a few weeks.
Exactly.
People are going to chuck you're playing like Southampton, you're playing like Oldham at us probably, but you know, if we're lifting the trophy at Islington Town Hall at the parade, none of us will give a damn.
Who cares?
There was a period of time when corners were quite boring, where corners are, we go and take a short corner, we'll try and change the angle, we'll come back out right. Fans are thinking, all right, here we go. Man City know that we know we can beat them.
Hello, I'm Nick Bright and welcome to Inside Gooners, bringing you all the latest news and reaction from the mighty Arsenal. And to celebrate the win against Chelsea, this is a bumper edition. I'm joined by 3 guests. We've got Perry Groves, Harry Symeou and Deluded Gooner. And I'm delighted to say the show is sponsored by BetMGM. Download the app or visit betmgm.co.uk, 18+, gambleaware.org. Please gamble responsibly. Have we all recovered? Because I'll be honest, my heart was going 100 miles an hour yesterday. Perry?
All of our stress balls are like they were right. Actually, to be fair, when watching the game, I thought the players looked like they had their stress balls when they was actually on the pitch, didn't they? Because we've got to be perfectly honest, it was nervy, and it's going to be like that from now to the rest of the season, because every game is a cup final. I'm not bothered how we play. If we win, I don't really care. Do you know what I mean? It's just chalk that one off, move on to the next one. Chelsea were probably arguably a better side, had the sort of created the better chances. But if you're not playing well, when you want to win the title, you have to see these games out and you have to make sure that we can't afford to draw. Do you know what I mean? Where we was a little bit bitty against, obviously, Liverpool, where it got nervy in the second half, lost against Man. This one is like, no, we get ourselves over the line. And trust me, the players will take more confidence from winning a game like this than if you blitz a team like 3-4-0. Because you all look around and you think, do you know what? Yeah, we've found a way to win it, and it's exactly what we've done. And I don't care if we're called set piece FC. Don't really bother me. That's like saying Chicago Bulls can only score slam dunks. Do you know what I mean? They don't score enough 3-pointers. It's like, who cares? Not really bothered. And when we get corners, you can tell that every other team we play against, they get nervous and they get stressed. Do you know what I mean? So that actually helps us out. So keep bringing on the set piece FC.
Yeah, you can tell that Perry's an ex-player. Yeah. I'm looking forward to getting Harry and CJ's take on this. Harry, how did you fare? I mean, you were working at the game, and so you have to not only be professional and hold it down in that sense, but you're also a fan. So how was that?
I'm still a mess, whether I'm working or not. I'm still an emotional wreck during these games because, yes, Perry's right in that, we've got to settle down a little bit, and it's very easy to say, I think, you've got to manage your emotions a little bit better. There's a lot of expectation of the crowd. Can the crowd do their bit and stuff? But I think when you're in that moment, sometimes it's really difficult. And ultimately, that just stems back to the fact that we all desperately want this so badly. There's Arsenal fans, there's a generation of Arsenal fans that have never seen us win the Premier League. They've never experienced it. And so for them especially, there isn't that experience of having been through it. There isn't that that feeling of what it's like when you get to this stage. Invariably in recent years, when it's got to this point, we've not been able to maintain the level that we needed. So there is going to be nervousness. I'm not sure I can do another 9 league games of this, to be honest with you. I sort of joked yesterday that I'll be bored by the end of the season. It could happen.
Nothing wrong with that. Hair's very
nothing wrong with it, but it wasn't what I was planning on.
CJ, what about yourself, my friend?
Oh, man, now that we've had time to kind of calm down, you'll always take the result over the performance. I do think there was nerves from the players, naturally from the fans. As Perry said, and Harry have alluded to, every game's a cup final, innit? There's going to be games on knife edge. If I'm honest, I think it was a bit of an average performance from us. I think we had to box smartly. Second half, I did think it was going to go away from us. But at the end of the day, corner boys were in the building. We scored the goals. We managed the boxes effectively. 2 London derbies on the spin now. And we move forward to the next games, man. So I'm a happy lad.
Yeah. Well, after going 1-0 up, Perry, I kind of thought we'd turn the screw a bit, but it's not how it transpired.
Yeah, I'd say I don't think we were as passive as the games that I mentioned before. But I wanted our philosophy to be that we're going to go on the front foot, like we did against Spurs away. But the thing is, when you're playing in away grounds, there's not as much pressure on you. Do you know what I mean? We talked about the atmosphere before, didn't we, at the top most? It was electric, and the players fed off that. So when we went 1-0 up, you say, right, I want you to go on the front foot. But then you have to give Chelsea some credit because they are a good team. We'll talk about, obviously, their inexperience because they're a young side, but they're a good side. And they were... The thing that I was getting frustrated was they came to press. It wasn't like in the second leg semi-final where they came and sat and like the mid-block, low block, whatever. And we still, in the first half, had the propensity to go Saliba to Gabriel, out to Timber, back into Saliba, back to Gabriel, back, and we kept possession, but we was going backwards. We was actually starting off near the halfway line, and then you go back, didn't you? And Declan Rice is trying to get a Zubrin, then you go back to David Raya, and then as brilliant was in the ball, everybody gets like, oh, it's gone back to goalkeeper. Because I'm a generation, I'm like, the goalkeeper's got it.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? So I wanted us to go longer, quicker. I wanted us, and I know sometimes you might give the ball away, but what happens is, if you go longer and you go in the channels or you go into Gyökeres, you might have a bit of a like knockdown, or he tries to hold it up and there's a bit of a 50-50, and you might pick up the knockdowns. So I just wanted us to go longer, quicker, just to mix it up a little bit. But say we tried to go what you call like the horseshoe all the time, where sometimes you've got to go centrally. So that's what I wanted to do, just a little bit quicker.
Yeah, just on the performance, the bit where we sort of suffered at the start of the second half, I wasn't that annoyed about that, because I'm looking at it and I'm going, you know what, as Arsenal people, it's our natural inclination to go, what are we doing wrong here? And we can overanalyze it to a point. And actually what you have to do is say, Chelsea scored just before half-time, in the ascendancy, full of confidence, got a lot of talented players in that group. And they played really well at that point. I guess where my frustration with the performance kicked in was after the Neto red card. Because at that point, I think momentum's completely swung back the other way. We're 2-1 up, they're down to 10 men. Now play our game. And it felt to me like we just sunk deeper and deeper. We invited a little bit of pressure. Then we tried to squeeze back up because Mikel was on the sidelines urging them to get up. Get up. It's not, when people say that he's telling them to drop off, he's not. He's signalling the opposite all of the time. But then you start leaving spaces in behind and you're worried about what they can do to you in behind. And there was a couple of moments David Raya had to step up. And listen, we've been saying it for a while. If we're going to win this thing, we need our individuals to step up in the big moments. And yesterday it was the defensive players more than anybody else. But as long as you get those individual performances and those moments go your way, then we'll be fine. We'll be fine. But it's just...
It's a weird one, CJ, though, isn't it? Because, they go down to 10. And when that happens, I don't know about you three, but immediately I was like, well, that's it. I know you can never take anything for granted in football, but we've been so good at the back. I just thought, look, and we did, hindsight is a wonderful thing. I know we did win in the end. But I just thought we would control the game and we just couldn't seem to keep hold of the ball. Every time we had it, we would play a sloppy pass or do something silly. Give Chelsea a bit of credit. They carried on pressing. They carried on playing in a similar manner to when they had 11 players on the pitch. But it frustrated me a bit that we just didn't see the game out, because that would have sent a bit of a message. Football's not only about, obviously it is only about winning and getting the 3 points, but also I like to send messages, because this Arsenal team at the minute, people still think we're a little bit fragile.
I think, Nick, isolated to obviously that game, and I just think generally with a lot of performances this season, we haven't really been at our sparkling best for 90 minutes. Like Newcastle comes to mind. There's probably another one on that kind of topic. So I understand them frustrations, but it's a bit like what Harry said. For me, it's like a lot of people talk about Mikel Arteta, and ultimately everything good and everything bad is with the manager, but the players are the ones out there and they've got to smell blood. They've got to smell the temperature of the football pitch. And it didn't feel like we knew whether to stick or twist. It's like we half kind of just wanted to sit back and just absorb pressure and just get out there with a win. We half kind of went for it. Like even going back to the first half, there was a couple of breaks where I thought, if we score goals here, it kind of opens up. I don't want to downplay Chelsea, because I do think they were good tactically. I do think they started the second half brilliantly. I do think it helped us with obviously them going down to 10 men. If I was disappointed, Nick, I would say that it didn't look like 10 against 11, so that's where I understand it. But at this point in the season with 9 games left, it's just about the result, if I'm completely honest, and we managed to do that. Don't get it twisted, though. There are numerous kind of warning signs we need to adhere to and try and put better in other games. So that's why I look at it, man.
Yeah, it's the only thing I worry about is that,
Exactly.
When you've got a team who are there for the taking, you know what I mean? You smell blood, you go for the jugular. And I feel like we didn't really do that. Hindsight, doesn't matter, we got the 3 points. Anyway, let's move away from that. Let's talk about Emmanuel Petit then, Arsenal legend, because he was on talkSPORT this morning and he's been talking about the atmosphere. at the stadium. And I think we can all agree that there is a nervous atmosphere at the Emirates Stadium. Perry, you've played at the highest level. How does that affect you on the pitch? And does it affect different players differently? You know, what's the kind of psychology behind all of that?
Any player that tells you the way that your home crowd is doesn't affect you is lying, because it does. I mean, I've been booed personally, like even in the warm-up when I'm warming up, they're reading names out. You've been numbering, boo, Perry Grove, boo. I think, all right, give us a chance. I didn't start playing yet. Do you know what I mean? So,
what did you do?
But it makes you.
What happened?
No, they'd seen me play the game before. That's what it was. But what it is, it makes you tense. It makes you tenser, because footballers are human beings. So if you've got 57,000 and you can feel the desperation, that's what it is for Arsenal fans. It's desperation of those 57,000 fans. By osmosis, that seeps into you. It's the same thing as where you say, when I mentioned about the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, like the atmosphere was unreal. Our players, I know you're in enemy territory, but our players, they sort of think, right, we're the pantomime villains here, and they fed off that. You know what I mean? That energy, they fed off that. So I actually think Petit was being a bit harsh yesterday, because the people that I've spoke to at the game, they said that the atmosphere was actually pretty good compared to what it had been before. So I think that the Arsenal fans get it. I think that they can get, if it goes on a bit of a lull, then their positivity and, you know, their sort of shouting can then like G the players up a bit. I've always gone back when we played Manchester United. I think it was about 18 months, 2 years ago, at home, and Marcus Rashford scored, and Man United went 1-0 up. And normally any home crowd would go, "There'll be a." From nowhere it came like, "Come on!" It was a massive roar, and you saw the players go, "Whoa!" And all the fans, what they were telling the players was, "Don't worry about that. We know that you can do that. We believe in you." And we went on like a different level, and we ended up beating them 3-1. And that was the first time at any stadium I've ever been in where I'd heard a crowd roar and cheer after they'd conceded. That's what we've got to get back to. But I don't think that it was nowhere near as tense yesterday as it has been in the Liverpool game and the Man United game.
I've got immense respect for Emmanuel Petit, but unfortunately, and yeah, there is a but, like, I've got immense respect for him. I even had a brief conversation with him yesterday at the game. But he's come there with a preconception of what the atmosphere is going to be, and he's just run with that. Yeah. I'm sorry, because that wasn't the case yesterday. You know, we all went there. There were moments where, as a fan, you can't help it. Your heart is in your mouth. It happens. But generally speaking, I thought the crowd were really good yesterday. They were behind the team, even in the difficult stages. I can think of multiple occasions where Chelsea had a chance or Arsenal missed a chance, and the reaction was, "Come on, let's go again." So I just feel like, and this is the danger, you know, people talk about the outside noise. The outside noise is coming from every single direction. I mean, I heard Gary Neville on Sky last night talking about the outside noise. He's the biggest culprit in terms of creating that noise. So the goal went in, the second goal from Timber. And before Timber's even made his way to the corner flag to celebrate, he goes, "I think there's a foul on the keeper."
He's done that, ooh.
And then...
That little ad-lib
one.
And then when João Pedro was about a mile offside at the end of the game, before the replay's gone, he's gone, "I don't even know if he's offside yet."
Everybody knew in the stadium.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everybody knew watching it on TV that he was a yard and a half offside.
You can see it.
It's a desperation to get ahead of the action, to make it seem like you know more than
like you're the oracle.
And on top of that, it's his bias coming.
Easy to feel like this when you're, you know, an Arsenal supporter. But do you feel like there's this desperation for us not to do it?
100%.
Like, because that's how I feel.
100%.
I feel like that's the story that a lot of people want. They don't want Arsenal to do it because then they can continue this bottle job FC kind of all of that
But we
stuff.
know that though, right? We work in the media, right? And we get accused of persecution complex, that you think that everybody's against you, and you think, well, actually, no, just listen.
Gaslit.
Like, I'll take the different narratives are, right? Man City go to Leeds and beat them 1-0, and they grind it out. They show professionalism. That's what you do when you win a title. We do it against Chelsea, and Arsenal got a little bit lucky, set piece FC. And you go, well, comes, they ground it out against a team that is in the bottom six, even though it's a difficult place to go. And we beat them 4-0 there, right, and just swat them aside. We do it, and, it's getting a bit... And you go, no, you've got to be balanced. But because we are the Arsenal, everybody wants us not to win one of the big ones, because then it can be, the accusation will be, you ain't got the medal. You bottled it again, So we've got to try. Even yesterday, we've all said Chelsea were the better team in general play. Chelsea were the better team, created the better chances. But I said, I don't care, because we've had to find a way to it. And you see Mikel Arteta when he went and shot Liam Rashin's hand. He had a massive...
Yeah, he puffed out his cheeks.
He knew that was a huge result, and he knew that was relief. because what he saw with his eyes
Could have went either way.
wasn't as played as well as what we'd like them to play. And now, like, we've got over that. Because that was going to be, all they're going to be tough games. But Chelsea at home, they've only lost 3 games since Liam Rossini's been in charge. And they've all been against us.
Love that.
Well, because also it's brilliant, but they, again, you want any elite sport, you have psychological advantage. And even they played that well, come off the pitch and they think, actually, we played quite well there and we still haven't won.
We lost again, yeah.
It's massive
demoralising
difference.
for them.
Of course it is.
Yeah. And even the celebrations, sorry, Nick, even the celebrations, we go back a previous week when Manchester City beat Newcastle versus when we won the North London derby. We're not allowed to celebrate.
Yeah.
If we celebrate, we show too much emotion. I know Arsenal fans and football fans can be a bit, over the top, but Arsenal fans are being gaslit. Like, it's that simple, and I'm not having anything other than that. As Harry said, people are coming into their lines of media work or whatnot with preconceived ideas and notions that even if the game don't pan out in that way, they're still going to run that agenda. So we just have to accept it and deal with the outside noise. You go back to when we lost to Brentford many years ago in Brentford's first game in the Prem.
Looking at our fixtures, obviously we only had 2 of the top 6 teams to play, and our running is fairly easy. And you have to say, well, hold on a minute. What about our first 6 fixtures?
Yeah,
exactly.
When you looked at them, really went, well, Arsenal struggle here. We end up being still top league after those first 6. So people talk about fixtures. You're like, well, no, it just balances itself out over the whole season.
Just back to matters on the pitch, I wanted to ask you guys about David Raya. One of you mentioned it earlier. I forgot who mentioned it. It was Harry,
H,
right? So we'll come to you then H, because people often celebrate the back 4, don't they? People talk about the defence, especially in the early part of the season. Saliba, Gabriel getting most of the plaudits, and deservedly so. But David Raya, when called upon, he's had a few dodgy kind of moments this season, but as a goalkeeper, that can happen, especially as a ball-playing goalkeeper. But when he's needed to step up, he stepped up, and yesterday was one of those days.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's 2 games in a row now where he's made massive saves. The save in the North London derby, where it could have gone to 3-2 and it could have become really nervy. And he sort of claws it off the line. Brilliant. I really rated the save from the Garnacho cross shot thing, because I think as a goalkeeper, those must be some of the most difficult situations to deal with, because there's a part of you that looks at the ball coming and you want to dive based on the direction that the ball's travelling in. But in the back of your mind, there's that thought, what if someone gets a touch and diverts it?
The second
so,
ball,
it causes a hesitation, doesn't it, in the way that you then approach the save. It's a brilliant save. And I said it before, we need players to step up in the moments. And David Raya, I think Mikel Arteta said this after the game yesterday in his press conference, he's one of those goalkeepers that can be on the periphery a lot. I know he's more involved than others in terms of the ball at his feet, which means he does have some involvement. But to go from making very few saves, sometimes none at all, to having to pull out world-class saves, that speaks volumes. And we see a lot of goalkeepers sort of lower down the league and people go, they're brilliant goalkeepers, great shot stoppers, high save percentage. That's because they're busy and they're involved all the time. To be able to switch from not being involved to being decisive, I think is really, really
That makes no sense when everybody says about a goalkeeper being a great shot stopper. Do you know what I mean? If you're not a great shot stopper, you shouldn't be in goal.
You're in trouble, yeah.
Because it's like saying a wicketkeeper, I tell you, he can catch all right, can't he? A wicketkeeper. It is, when people say that, you go, all right, yeah, well, that's his job, really.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's it.
Part of the job, I guess. I wanted to ask you, Perry, actually, just about Cole Palmer, because he was playing in a slightly different role in this game. And I don't know if you saw Liam Rossini's interview at the end. He was asked about it. And he basically said, I'm not going to tell you, to the reporter that asked him, because, I'm not going to give away our tactical secrets. He seemed to have a lot of space. So what did you make of Cole Palmer in that opening 30 minutes? And what did you make of Arteta's kind of adjustment to shut that down later on in the game?
Well, what it was, I think everybody expected Cole Palmer to be on the right, Fernandes be in the middle, and Neto on the left, and they swapped them 2 over. So then Cole Palmer was, basically, he just let him, they talk about these analytics, he let him drift. He let him just drift in, come off the left, go in the 10, do you know what I mean? So their movement was quite fluid. I think Zubimendi got a little bit in between in the first sort of 25 minutes. But the thing that I would say is, even though Cole Palmer's getting on the ball a lot, and as Arsenal fans, you're looking going, well, don't let him get on, because he didn't really have a lot of these brilliant through balls, or, do you know what I mean? He didn't really create that many chances. So at the elite level, managers do come up with different ways. Like we saw Chelsea in the semi-final second leg, where they left 3 up front from the corners.
Yeah.
So, you're going to come over these different sort of obstacles. But, yeah, even though he was getting on the ball a lot, I don't think he was, I must admit, overly creative.
Okay. Well, one of the things I'm seeing a lot this morning is this narrative around Chelsea should have had penalties. I don't know, you guys must have seen this as well, right? Because there was admittedly quite a lot of grappling in the box. But look, if you're going to give those as penalties, there's going to be 10 penalties in every game, in my opinion. Do you think Chelsea deserved a penalty? There's a Declan Rice one off of kind of the shirt line. It was quite close, wasn't it? So what do you think, CJ?
No, man. I mean, it's extremely inconsistent in football. You know, we'll see the exact same incidences in another game and there'll be kind of different realities. We've got to live with it. I don't want to do the woe is me thing, but every Arsenal fan can pull up several fouls and incidences where they've gone against us. You could say don't give the referee a decision to make, in which we might have got away with it against Chelsea, like in the North London derby. But what is all of this about? Like, we keep going back to the semi-finals. We should have had one for Fofana. We found a way to win and control the controllables. You have to kind of expect this. Now, if you want to look at the laws around set pieces and grappling and the kind of blurred lines and the dark arts, every football team is going to try and take advantage of them, as they should. It feels like a lot of people are upset that Arsenal found a way to tweak it. So the bigger questions is probably reviewing the rules if they want that. But like you said, if they do anything around that, every week you're going to kind of see penalties. If the shoe's on the other foot, they're not crying about penalties. If their shoe's on our foot, we want a penalty. That's just how football fans work. But I just think it's taken away from the game in that Arsenal were probably average and we still won. Chelsea actually had a lot of positives and they still lost. Football's decided in both boxes and we done that.
I thought we were lucky.
We were definitely lucky.
I think Declan Rice one's a penalty.
We're defo jamming.
In modern day game, that comes off his elbow. By the way, it's another brilliant save from David Raya for that one. But you look at that and you're thinking, I cannot believe that VAR hasn't having a look at that, because I'm not talking about actually his arms around him. I'm talking about because his arm is up. You use it for leverage anyway, but because it's so far away from his body, everybody's looking at it as Arsenal fan thinking, I'll tell you what, if we get away
hearts
with
dropped.
Was that a result?
They make it up as they go along, clearly.
The problem is that the grappling thing, like, I don't actually think Arsenal are as bad with the grappling as people make it out.
You know what we do well,
We block well.
What we do, we do, and then we do it, and then when the ball's been delivered, then we go. So what it is, there's all jostling. If you looked at, like, Gabriel at the far post, for instance, where Reece James could be stronger, there is, like, grappling before, but what happens is, as I said about our reputation, the defenders are so front. They actually don't look at the ball. They actually turn around and they look at the defence. Every club does it. And you're thinking, you have no idea where the tricks that ball's going.
You don't know where the ball's going to land.
Exactly. So once they've got that, what Gabriel does, great. You have that grapple, then he lets go, then he goes inside him. And then when it goes into the 6-yard box, we don't grapple anybody because you've done it before the delivery. So that is all premeditated. And the Timbers goal, everybody's got but Robert Sanchez is 6'6". He looked like Jimmy Cranky, didn't he? Honestly. So he's coming out and going, and then when you see him run to Darren the referee and go, I've been pushed, every Arsenal fan's like, oh no, please don't let me push.
Yeah.
Then you look at it and you think, have a day off, mate.
Yeah.
You've just fallen down.
You had free reins at that. You made a mess of it, Sanchez.
I always say with our set pieces, like, there's a few things that we do that are just impossible to defend against. Perry touched on it. If you're looking at the man, why do you think all the Arsenal players line up wide of the far post? Because then as a defender, you've got to look at the ball. And if they're running from your blind side, you don't know where they're going. Are they coming inside you? Are they going around the back of you? You have no idea. And if you put the ball into a place, more often than not, where a one-touch finish is all it needs, you can bundle it over the line, you're causing chaos. The amount of own goals that go for us, it's not a coincidence. It's because we put the ball in the right areas and we increase the probability of that coming off. But with the grappling stuff, we do it. Everybody does it. I can think of an example yesterday in the second half where Gabriel's on the penalty spot, and as Perry said, Reece James is holding him until the delivery comes, and then he has to let go. The problem is that they've allowed this to pass all season, and you can't now, 9 games from the end of the season, go, all of a sudden we've got to get a lid on this. If they want to review it in the summer, I'm not even against it. Like, it's benefiting us right now, but I'm not against it, because I understand that maybe it's gone a little bit too far, generally speaking. But to make it out as if we're the only club that does it, and we're the only club that pushes the boundary.
Look at Everton against Man United a few weeks ago.
Exactly.
I think it's obviously because of our success rate from corners. That's why it's being highlighted so much. So I've got some stats. I'm going to have to read them, though, because there's so many. Right. It's the 9th time in the Premier League this season that Arsenal have scored a match-winning goal from a corner. Now, the outright most by a team in a single campaign, overtaking Manchester United's 8 in 2012-2013. That's one stat. Another stat for you. Arsenal have gone 1-0 up from a corner on 9 occasions in the Premier League this season, the joint most by a team in a single campaign, along with Southampton in 94-95. So that's throwing it back. Are they still at the Dell? back then. And this one here, Arsenal's 16 goals from corners in the Premier League this season is the joint most by any side in a single campaign, alongside Oldham in 92-93. So people are going to chuck you're playing like Southampton, you're playing like Oldham at us probably. But, you know, if we're lifting the trophy at Islington Town Hall at the parade, none of us will give a damn.
Who cares? Yeah.
I would just say, right, that when we did the radio interviews yesterday and we spoke to Liam Rossignol, he was so angry about the way that they defended the set pieces. He said that we'd been working on it all week. And so as a coach, as a manager, when you work on something all week and then you can't deal with it on the pitch, it's very frustrating. That's what he said. So that in itself is indicative of how much value every coach across the division is putting on set pieces right now. Everybody has talented players. Everybody has a big budget in the Premier League. And more often than not, where you've got top-level elite coaches, you can cancel each other out. So you need to find another way to win.
And it's
games.
fine margins, Harry, and everyone. Like, it's the fine margins. But as you said there, 9 times out of 10 in the Premier League, no matter who you play, it's played in the middle, it's congested, there isn't that many chances. So you're doing the right things, trying to take advantage of dead balls in set plays. We see it every week, and it's going to continue. That's just the cycle of where football is at this moment in time.
You know what it is? I think Nicolas Jauvert, he's got a little
Building a
statue
statue.
waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
He's coming out. But the thing is as well is, you can work at defending set pieces in training. We used to do it a lot, like attacking into it, right? And then you go, oh yeah, your positioning's good, yeah, you've attacked the ball great, right? You get into a game, right, where the delivery is on a different level, and also you've got the nervousness because you know what's coming. That is completely different. I know Rossini says we worked on it, which they have to do, but then you put them into a game and then panic sets in.
Can't replicate it.
And that's exactly what happens. And if no one's had a go at Brentford because of Coyote's long throws have come back on vogue, which is brilliant. And I've said before, if you're a fan, there was a period of time when corners were quite boring, where corners are, we go and take a short corner, we'll try and change the angle, we'll come back out right. Fans are thinking, here we go. There's going to be a skirmish.
Look at us, we were scared any time Reece James had a corner yesterday.
Because his delivery was so good.
Because it was it was immaculate.
And look, when the attack is not necessarily firing as well, because you know they weren't yesterday, you need to make the most of those opportunities from corners, and we have done that better than anybody else this season. It's a weapon in our arsenal, pardon the pun, and we're making the most of it. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, because you're allowed to score from set pieces.
Yeah,
and
are you?
But the thing is with Arteta, and he goes into so much detail, and obviously he's the one who said to the stadium managers, by the way, you ain't showing the games at half time.
Turn the bars and all that.
Turn the TVs off because I want everybody back in. So it's all the fine margins. They would have looked at it and gone, do you know what? We really struggle breaking teams down at Emirates when teams sit deep, because it is difficult to be creative. So what we have to do is we have to get the balls into the box quicker, and then. By the way, you do force corners. Do you know what I mean? You force corners by being on the front foot.
Yeah, no one
and
just gives
attacking.
them to you.
Yeah, and then you think, we have got to make sure that we capitalise. And I played in like a couple of tight winning sides. We did set pieces over and over. And when you're doing them as a player, like, oh, really? You think it's boring? But you go into automated mode where you just go automatically. Your brain goes into a different mode completely. And no one says about the teams one, oh, by the way, you only won the title because you used to do flick on corners, Steve Bold and Tony Adams coming in the back.
Sour grapes.
No one cares, do they? And even on the football side of it, you know, like saying, oh, we're not playing free-flowing football. Chelsea fans, under Mourinho and Conte, they didn't play easy on the eye, free-flowing football. I think Conte's the only one who's won it with like 3 centre-halves, isn't he? So there'd be games where you go, actually, the game's pretty boring, but no one cares because you win. That's it. End of story.
Thierry Henry made a good point, I think, a little bit earlier in the season when this criticism was rife at that point as well. And he said, look, Arteta's job was to rebuild, which he's done, was to get Arsenal into a place where they can compete. And now his job is to win. And he's trying to find a way to win. And at the moment, it's working. Why are we criticising him for it?
Why break something that's
exactly.
working?
It's working. And that's what modern football demands in terms of how you gain those advantages. Why is it a problem?
And we actually took a day off as well. Like, we took a day off. Like, we got back to scoring from set pieces. You look against Spurs, we were scoring from open play. I think the last time I checked, we were second from goals from open play. This is what I mean about the narrative versus the reality. But as Perry and Harry and you have said, as long as you win, who cares? When we get this first one over the line, next year, maybe we can play sexy football if that's what everyone wants. But you need to win the trophy. It's not going to etch and say, Arsenal, you won it via corners. Who cares? Corners are not legal.
Do you know as well, by the way, the delivery is quite good.
It's amazing.
From like Saka and
consistent
Declan Rice.
delivery, yeah.
So what it is as well, how many times the fans get the ump when their team's got a corner and they hit the first man. And it should be like, oi, you should get off.
Drop their wages, I
right,
say.
Exactly, get off. But, touch wood, Declan Rice has had a couple what I can remember where he's hit the first, but 70% of the time we go far post. We go, right, what we're going to do is we're going to put it underneath the crossbar for the goalkeeper or go to the far post because then we can create the mayhem. So you're playing professional sport. It's you win any way that you can win. That is it. And then the ends justify the means.
Exactly.
Yep. So it puts us 5 points clear then of Manchester City. They've got that game in hand. We kind of touched on it. Harry, you were mentioning that they, 1-0. I think before we came down here, we were talking about this. So maybe we'll do it on the show. Why not? But, they've been managing to get those 1-goal victories and they're just chugging along. 1-0 against Leeds. Difficult place to go. You have to give them a little bit of credit. I know we went there and won 4-0, as Perry alluded to earlier. But, they are keeping us honest.
Yeah, and my advice to Arsenal fans is just don't watch their games. Because I sat and watched that game on Saturday evening. I said to you guys, I was watching it with a friend of mine, and 3 minutes in after Calvert-Lewin missed that chance, I said to him, let's not watch it. Forget it. Make your peace with the result now. Because what it can do is it can change your mindset going into our game on Sunday.
Negativity.
You can travel down to the Emirates. You're already nervous because it means so much. But you can turn up even more nervous because of what you've watched the night before. Block it out. We're the ones... People keep saying Man City have it in their own hands. Yeah, they do, but so do we, and we're in the better position right now. So just focus on ourselves, go and do our job, and don't worry about City, and trust that City are not the same side that they were across the last 3 or 4 seasons, because they're not. The evidence this season shows that. And do our thing, and I'm sure they will drop points between now and the end of the season. But
that was going to be my question.
We've got to focus on us.
Do you think there's going to be twists and turns then? Yeah. They're not going to put together a 10-game unbeaten run like they've been, famed to do in the past?
1,000,000%. Unfortunately, I think Arsenal are due to drop points, City are due to drop points. It's just down to when we can capitalise. City and Arsenal have gotten away with times where they probably could have drawn or lost, but that's what title-winning teams do. Clearly, this ain't the same City side, but the very fact that, as you said, they're keeping us honest, they're still up there, speaks volumes. They can be got at. For me, personally, I think we need to go on a run at least until the Manchester City game at the Etihad. But there's going to be many twists and turns. We just need to keep our bottle. And it's like what Harry and Perry said. Like, obviously, you can watch the games if you want, but you just need to have a single-mindedness with Arsenal because you're going to always look under the lens of, Man City. And we're not idiots. Clearly, you need to focus on them to a degree. But there's twists and turns. Just enjoy the road and enjoy the ride. Wasn't it Mikel Arteta who said something along the lines of, this is our most important time of the season, or most enjoyable. So let's enjoy it, man. Let's get over the line.
You can watch them if you want, but just have that ability to detach from it.
Just see it as a bonus. If you go there with the mindset that Man City are going to win, then anything else is a bonus, isn't it? You look at it...
Exactly.
Because I was obviously aware of it on Saturday and just looking at it and thinking, 0-0, 0-0, oh, that's Saturday, 0-0. Or if they get in 0-0 at half-time, and then Symeou scores just before half-time, and then you just go, all right, yeah, that's it. That's done and dusted then. But they still, even though Guehi's been a brilliant signing, him and Diaz are good centre-half pairing, they still give you opportunities. They still give you chances. And what's happened is, the Calvert-Lewin one in the first 3 minutes where he misses a sitter, didn't he, like from 8 yards. What's happened is other teams aren't capitalising on those chances. And there will be a game where they do. And it could happen the same to us. But you've got to try and minimalise those situations. So... Guardiola said that he's enjoying it. He can do because he's won 28 Premier League titles, hasn't he? And they've got 5 or 6 players that have won the Premier League before, and they didn't have Erling Haaland, and they found a way to win without Erling Haaland. So you've got to say to them, yep, you're finding ways of winning, but so are we at the minute. So it is neck and neck, and we both play at exactly the same time on Wednesday. Do you know what I mean? So it's massive. We got to just make sure that we obviously beat Brighton, and anything that happens between City and Forest, again, is a massive bonus.
Yeah. I mean, question for all of you, I guess, but CJ, I'll come to you first. After the performance against Spurs, we spoke about how the crowd responded to the team there, high pressure situation. Does that give you more confidence going to the Etihad? Because that's going to be a huge game, right? I know there's a lot of football between now and then, but if we go into that in the same position, just to say that for argument's sake, that game is massive.
It's massive, man, and you know we've been playing against City quite a few times, and you could see our trajectory. There was times where we'd play City, they'd slap us, Pep would pat us on our back. Times where we would play them, lose, but it was a lot better, and you could see tactically what we wanted to do, but fine margins went against us. Now there's been times, numerous times, you know, where we've actually gone to the Etihad and been disappointed, at least where our last 2 draws are concerned. So I think our boys relish playing City. I think they specifically they enjoy playing against City. They want to win at the Etihad, and again, it's just about enjoyment and fearfulness. Like, I mean, I might look at it a bit differently, but if for the last few years you're calling us bottlers and all we do is bottle, the worst they can say is what they've said already, innit? So go out there and just do what needs to be done, man. I don't think my boys not relish playing against City. And what helps us as well is we've got a couple of games. Like, we're going to play them in a cup final. We're going to play them at the Etihad. Potentially, we could find them in the FA Cup and in the Champions League. And this is, like Harry mentioned it earlier, he spoke about a rebuild and our job is to win. If you want to be a winner, you have to play winners. So we need to get comfortable with kind of everything we've been talking about on this show and playing the likes of Manchester City and things like that. Like, I think even when we play them in the League Cup final, we've both got a must-win game on the Tuesday, Wednesday in the Champions League. And obviously, we both got midweek fixtures this week that's coming thick and fast. So just relish it and enjoy it, man. Like, we've come too far now to crumble.
There's something psychological about that Carabao Cup final as well. You know,
100%.
like I want to win it not just because it's a cup final, but also because it's against Manchester City. You know, that gives you an edge, in my opinion. So that game is absolutely huge.
I think I don't even think it's a long way away. I've just seen they're both games a long way away, but they know, Man City know that we know we can beat them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We're going. The psychological barrier has gone. And go back to the game at the Emirates at that time, we battered them. He went all Pep Bassett, didn't we? We went 4-4-2 and sat deep because he looked at that time. He looked at it and he went, if we take you on, we can't beat you. They've improved a lot since then, but they know that we go on the pitch knowing that we can beat them, whereas other teams are going on the pitch hoping that they can. There's a complete sort of
showing
difference.
a bit too much.
That is a long way. It's a long way. Do you know what? I'm not even thinking about it. It's a long way away.
Yeah. We had a bit of an inferiority complex.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it, Pep patting us on the back, Pep selling players to us. He never really thought that we were going to get to this point where people are looking at us and saying, that's the team now, not you. And he's struggling with that. He was asked a question in his press conference the other day going into the weekend about what was it like when you won your first title, what was the feeling? And he said, I'm not here to give Mikel Arteta advice. That was him being prickly. That was him knowing that he's in a battle now. And he probably regrets it a little bit, the fact that he's helped Mikel along the way in his journey, that he's sold us players that might not be centerpieces of our team now, but certainly were part of that elevation.
Mentality, yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny. Whenever he's asked about Mikel, I noticed that as well. It's kind of doesn't really feel like a matey answer anymore.
Yeah, and it never used to be like that.
Yeah.
It used to be like, he's a good coach, give
all
him time.
hugs and kisses, yeah.
And he's a friend, and
but
I love him.
But I want that rivalry.
Yeah,
because it means you're relevant. I want all this, you know, like you had the Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp got on really well. You're like, oh, have a day off, get on really well with someone who's trying to take your credit. Do you know what I mean? It's like we want that sort of angst and antagonism. They'll be respectful, but you can tell it's a long way away. But the closer it gets, that little angstness will come to the fore in both press conferences. They'll try and be, you know, respectful, but I don't want them to be respectful.
I mean, not exactly shock of the century, is it? That combative midfielder Perry Groves wants a bit of needle, you know?
Everywhere.
Not much time to rest, though, boys. We head to the South Coast on Wednesday night to take on Brighton. I mean, I'm hoping that we just come out the blocks early in that one, CJ. A couple of goals on the board, nice and early. We can sit back and relax, although that's kind of what happened against Wolves, and it wasn't exactly relaxing, was it?
You said it there, Nick, man. In an ideal world, we put the game to bed in the first half. Now, that's an ideal world. That's not necessarily football. I know Brighton of recent have put some form together, but their season's been a bit of a downer. One thing that makes me nervous about Brighton, a bit of it for me is a bit illogical. I'm just always scared of them. I do think home and away, we've kind of had a lot of spanners in the works. The game is coming thick and fast. I guess this is where Arteta's got to earn his money. Does he go with the same lineup or does he start to rotate? And if he rotates, who? I am a bit nervous about midfield because I do think Zubamendi's decision-making against Chelsea was quite poor for someone of his standards, but he looks knackered. I'm not sure where Rice is for his recovery. Kai's come back and he did look a bit rusty, so it's going to be a slugfest, but we're going to just have to get it done. This is the scenario we wanted to be in. Like, us and Manchester City, we're both in all competitions, innit? So we're just going to have to get it done. They're waiting for us to slip up. We're waiting for them to slip up. It's simple business. Just get the 3 points and keep this kicking down the road.
What do you think, Harry, just in terms of line-up? Because we are, you know, at a point where some key players have got injuries now. We don't know at this point what's going on with Declan Rice because he had to come off against Chelsea. You know, do you look at the Brighton game and think you can give a few players a breather here, or do you just look at it like you've got to play your strongest?
No chance.
No, yeah, I think the breather comes against Mansfield at the weekend. I think that's how you got to look at it. You've got to be saying to these players, listen, if you lot want this thing, right, we've got to keep going. And yeah, you can make 1 or 2 changes if you have to. I agree with CJ, I'm a little bit worried about the midfield at the moment. I felt that when Mikel Merino picked up that injury, we ended up being 1 short. Yeah. And I thought that in the sort of latter stages of the January window, we might have gone and got someone, not necessarily to play every week, but just as a bit of an insurance policy. Yeah, because Odegaard's fitness has been on and off all season. He's out again. He missed the game yesterday. He was out with some sort of knee problem. It's probably related to what happened at Brentford. Then you don't know what the situation is with Rice. If I was a betting man, I'd say that Rice probably makes it.
He'll be right.
But Zubamendi looks knackered.
What about rotation in terms of performance then? Maybe not because you want to rest players, but because, you know, performance against Chelsea wasn't the greatest performance.
The one that I've been a little bit frustrated with, I've always said that for me, it's Rice and Zubamendi. That's your first choice midfield. Norgard is a bit of a drop-off in terms of level. But there's a part of me that's thought a lot this season, why did you sign him if you're not going to give him opportunities to come in, even if it's for the last half an hour in a game, just to plug a hole and give us something a little bit different? He's a safe pair of hands. Yeah. And I think maybe Brighton is the game that you bring him in because Zubamendi's not really having the influence in possession that he was having. And I think he looks tired, personally.
Same.
Yeah. Joe, I think as well, I said there that Brighton are in a good bit of form now. They've won their last 2. And what Fabian Hertz has done is he's gone back into the experienced players. So if you look at their side, he's gone Dunk, Milner, Gross, Welbeck. Do you know what I mean? So he's basically saying, because they're a young team, I'm going to put you in there just to calm everybody down. But I think it will suit us because Brighton they'll come at us. Brighton don't play any other way. And we're unbeaten the last 5. I'll give you, you'll have a stat, Nick.
Yeah, go on.
The last 19 7 p.m. or later games, we're unbeaten in the Premier League.
Okay.
1-14, drew 5.
Okay.
There you go. Bit of confidence.
I was going to flip that back at you and say that we've struggled in the last couple of midweek games, though, haven't we? Wolves, Brentford. Is there something, I don't know, different about how you prepare for a game midweek versus how you prepare for a game on a Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah, because obviously you've got the travelling time. I'd imagine that they'll go down like Tuesday night, even though it's a night game. Do you know what I mean? So he knows that all the players are like together and getting their rest.
They like going for a walk, don't they?
That's exactly.
Now, isn't it?
Just go along Brighton Pier. There's a lovely little restaurant right at the end there.
Sea Life Centre. Go
on the wheel. There's a big wheel going a bit. But I think playing away will suit us because teams will have to come at you. There's not as much pressure as what there is in Emirates. And again, we averaged from the beginning of the season till end of December, we was averaging 1.2 goals a game away from home. Right. Now we're averaging 2.3. So we've started to actually express ourselves a lot more away from home. And we, as CJ said there against Spurs, like 4 of our goals were from open play because, I mean, Spurs were like herding ferrets, weren't they, in the end, because they didn't know what system they're going to play. But I think it will suit us away from home because it will be a little bit more expansive.
Yeah. Well, it's also Mansfield. We should talk about the FA Cup as well. That's the game that we all think there's going to be real rotation in. I mean, I'll be shocked if we see the likes of, I don't know, Bukayo Saka starting that game, Declan Rice starting that game, Zubamendi will probably, well, actually, the midfield's a tough one, isn't it? Because
Norgard will 100%
Norgard will come in. But okay, so let's do that then. How do you see the lineup against Mansfield? What do you guys reckon?
It'll be 100%. Yeah, exactly. We don't know if Ben White's going to be fit or Mosquera will probably come in. Don't know if Calafiori, if he
That's
needs
the thing, the injuries.
Yeah, exactly.
You can rotate, but who's fit and how many minutes do they have?
If Odegaard's back, Do you play Ødegaard?
Yeah, he needs a game.
Kai some
He
minutes
needs a
if
bit
he
of
can.
rhythm, yeah, to be fair. But again, we're playing the mighty Stags. I think they haven't won in 8 games. So obviously they'll raise their levels, but we showed with the half and half team we put against Pompey that if the attitude's right, then we're going to be okay, because there isn't a massive drop-off in the squad. And I actually think Norgard, when he's played, and he's played in the FA Cup, Carabao Cup, and even when he's come on in the Champions League, he's looked very assured. Do you know what I mean? It's not all Norgard's coming on. That's why he chucked him on yesterday, because he wanted that little bit of control. Yeah, so the one thing I've always said is I couldn't believe they let Nwaneri go. Because I don't care, you can't have too many bodies. Yeah. Even if you're not giving him game time and those players not getting in squad 20, who cares? Do you know what I mean?
But is it about, it's probably a little bit of player management there in terms of just keeping him happy,
who cares?
Giving him
He's
some
not
football.
even playing that much at Marseille.
Yeah, but I think the problem was Roberto De Zerbi left, right? I think there were certain assurances because Arteta wanted him to play under De Zerbi, and then De Zerbi's gone. So.
Yeah, but he can be unhappy at the end of the season. Do you know what I mean? Don't care if he's happy or
We're
not.
trying to get over the line right now.
You just need
And
the
also,
numbers.
like, from Nwaneri's point of view, I know you want to play and you want to develop, but wouldn't there be a part of you, like, if Arsenal go on to win
You want to be part of
multiple trophies? I know you played the first half of the season with us, and so you did play your part, but I don't know if I'd want to miss out on that. If I'm like 17, 18 years old, I'm not looking at my career and going, oh my God, I've got a limited amount of time left. Like, I'm not at that stage yet. I would have wanted to be a part of it. So I'm surprised that if he did, because I don't know that he did, that I'm surprised that he pushed as hard as he did to go to Marseille.
I think he just want to play. I think he realised that we mentioned like where he plays. Odegaard's in front of him, Eze's in front of him, Mourinho's in front of him, and he's like, I ain't getting any game time.
But instead, wouldn't, like, if I can't speak to what happened behind the scenes because I don't know. But if I was Nwaneri, my argument would be not, I need to go and play elsewhere. My argument would be, Odegaard's not playing that well this season. Eze's been hit and miss, if we're being honest about it. And Mikel Merino's a bit of a utility man, centre forward, centre midfield, deeper in the midfield. Give me a chance. I'd have sort of been banging that drum, I think. Maybe he did, and it fell on deaf ears. But
you've just enhanced what I said. Because of that reason, he still wasn't getting any game time. And he's like, no, I want to go and play. And they should have said to him, I don't care. You're staying here.
And he got a taste of regular football.
Lewis Skelly was saying,
as well.
they'll be at the end of the season, and the players will know it, there'll be 4 or 5, they ain't going to be there next year. If you look at Lewis Skelly will probably come in against Mansfield and either play left back or even play in midfield, because that's where he wants to play, and then he might be another option. But there's going to be those 2 players I mentioned there, they probably won't be there next season because they're at a stage where they want to play and they think, I'm not going to be like 3rd choice or 4th choice. Do you know what I mean? So, but you've got to be ruthless.
2 more HLM boys out the door. You're breaking my heart, Perry, if that happens.
They probably just need a pathway.
Yeah, PSR.
Really.
Now it's time for our bet builder with BetMGM. Remember, you can download the app or head to betmgm.co.uk. Right, as we've got 3 guests, I'm going to defer it to you guys. So, what are you going for, Perry?
We are Set Piece FC, obviously. So, and we're playing a team in Mansfield, where when you're playing at that level, you get a lot of set pieces. So, I'm going to go over 7.5 corners.
7.5 corners. Sounds like a good bet.
Seeing as we're Set Piece FC and Perry thinks we're going to have loads of corners, I'm going to go over 3.5 goals because I think that we're going to put the ball into the right areas often enough to benefit from that. So, yeah.
A goal fest for H. CJ?
Nick, I'm going with 1 or more own goals. So, yeah, man, I mean, just to rattle the internet, man, we love an own goal. So, 1 or more.
All right, just to recap, that's over 3.5 total goals, over... What was it? Sorry, 1 own goal. God, we're ballsing this up, ain't we? An own goal in the game, right? Okay.
An own goal in the game.
No, it's me. It's not me this time. It's not you. You did it. Right. So just to recap for you, it's over 3.5 total goals, an own goal in the game, and over 7.5 Arsenal corners. Right, just before we wrap though, the FA Cup, a special competition for us. Be nice to get our hands on it again, Perry.
Yeah, it's obviously won it 14 times, more than anybody else. We talked earlier when Arsene Wenger won it 7 times in 22 years, which is pretty mind-blowing, to be fair. Winning breeds winning. That's basically it. Do you know what I mean? We need momentum. I mean, it will be, trust me, it will be a tough game against Mansfield. Nigel Clough has got them sort of well organised. But if we match them physically, which we can, then the quality we have, we should be okay against Mansfield.
Yep. All right, well, that is all we've got time for on today's Inside Gooners. Thank you, of course, for your company, and thanks to my amazing guests, to Perry Groves, to Harry Symeou, and to Deluded Gooner. This show is sponsored by BetMGM. Download the app or visit betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org. Please gamble responsibly. And come on, you Gooners!
North London forever.